also available for piano four hands. The Crystal Cage is, I'm not 100% sure about Giddy Girl, but I know the Little White Donkey, which is the most famous piece in that, is in piano four hands. And they're really great. They're just great, great pieces. So do you know anything about Ibert?
Not really.
Okay. Well, he was a French composer, and he was born toward the end of the 19th century, and he lived into, I think it's the early 1960s. These pieces I know are early. So he wrote these between 1912 and 1922. I looked this up this morning, I didn't keep this, but I knew this basically, but I wanted to get my dates right. So he was in Rome at the time, and then the histoire, which means stories. Okay, so when you tell a story in French, it's an histoire. This is his story. So these stories are based on things that he saw or experiences during that 10 years when he was in his early 20s to his early 30s, when he was traveling in the Mediterranean area. So that was in Italy and in Spain. So one of the movements has the title Under the Table is in Spanish. And then Giddy Girl, that title is in English. And then also in North Africa, in Tunisia, he traveled there as well. So the Giddy Girl, we have a pretty good idea of what this one is about. As far as I know, I don't think that, and I may be wrong, but as far as I know, he didn't really leave descriptions about what he was portraying or what he had seen or anything like that, as far as we know. The Giddy Girl we know a little bit more about because of his kind of directions. So in the style of a sentimental romantic English girl. Okay, and then later on the second page he says exaggerated nuances. So the Giddy Girl, I feel fairly confident, is a young English tourist. Okay, he's going, you know, it has that kind of silly, you know, kind of character. So I think based on those instructions that he says, you know, a romantic, sentimental English girl and exaggerated emotions, is that I think you could lighten it up just a little bit, you know. So you want to think about, you know, a girl like in 1915, you know, right before the First World War, 1913 or whatever, in her little hat and going, you know, oh, this is, you know, has a little bit of that kind of squirrely character to it, a little bit. That would be the one comment that I would make about it. We'll try a few things in it. I thought your dynamics were really beautiful. It's very expressive playing in both pieces. It was really, really very, very well done. So that's kind of the big thing I would say in the first piece. In the second piece, the Crystal Cage. This one of my students 2 summers ago in Italy played the four-hand version of this. And it's a great piece, it's really fun, and it just drives me nuts because I do not know what a crystal cage is, and I really, really want to know because it's such a kind of an evocative title, and I think bird cage, a crystal bird cage, I can't imagine. So, you know, it's just, I don't know. What do you think of for this piece?
I think of a bird cage.
Do you think of a bird cage?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know what else it could be, but it's hard to imagine, you know, I mean, if it fell, you'd have a mess on your hands, I don't know. So with this piece, and I would say here, you use a fair amount of rubato, and he writes a fair amount of, you know, little stretches. The same thing is true in Giddy Girl as well, is he's changing tempo all the time. A little stretch, move forward, a little stretch, move forward. So I think that your rubato was really well done. It was really, really good. The thing to remember, though, about rubato is that you have to think about why you're doing it, other than it says to, you know. So the idea of stretching something, for example, can have 2 functions. You can stretch into something to move toward it. Okay, so you're going yum, da, 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 dee, boom. Or you can stretch to close, yum, dee, da, da, dum, boom. So you need to think, am I moving backward, am I moving forward? You know, what is the function of the rubato? What do I want to accomplish with it? Okay, does that make sense? Okay. So I think that you know, your rubato is really good. If what I'd like to work on with you a little bit is to see if you can fit that really good rubato into a slightly bigger picture to make a little bit clearer narrative of, you know, where are the big sections, where is the cadence, do you want to move forward into something, are you backing away? Just so that your narrative is a little clearer. That's mainly what I want to work on. As far as all the other things, your balance is good, the melodies are coming out, it's clean as a whistle. It's really just beautiful playing, it's really, really good. So let's start with Giddy Girl, okay? So I want you to just close your eyes for a second and picture a 1912 girl from England who's giggles, okay? So I want this piece to giggle a little bit more, okay? And get dramatic and like, oh, you know, that kind of thing a little bit, all right? Just use your imagination with it and see where it takes you, okay? Let's try it again. The first two measures repeat, right? Okay, so I want you to see if you can do them a little bit differently, okay? Your dynamic marking for these first four measures is piano, okay? So let's save some of the forte for a little bit later, okay? So she's just getting off the boat and going, oh, okay? It has a little bit of that, all right? So you don't want to, you know, spend your whole $10 the first minute you get off the boat. You want to save some, okay? Let's try it again. Between those first two this time, and it really set up the melody better, I thought, in the second and third measures. So, all right. So, what I'd like you to try. So, what I'd like you to play for me is just in measures 3 and 4, just the melody, just the upper note in the right hand.
Just the melody?
Just the melody, just one note. Yeah. Right, good. How do you want to shape that? As if it's a song, as if she's singing that. Good. Try it again. Pretend you're a singer and sing it. You don't have to do it out loud, but. Yeah. So when a singer would sing a line like that, he or she would sing it on one breath. So see if you can play it that way. Imagine that your arm is a lung and you're singing with your fingers. Breath, and let your arm exhale the whole way through those two measures. That's it. Here we go. Good. Now, keep that same shape and character to the melody and play all the notes in both hands. Okay? But same thing. Take a breath and sing it all in one breath. Now, take a look at how your right hand's moving. Okay? Because this is what I saw. So this. Okay? Now, you don't have 12 fingers on here, and your hand isn't this big. You can't connect this. However, your arm can. But if your arm does this, that's what we're going to hear. Okay? So, do you play violin or cello or any string instruments? No. Okay, so pretend you do. All right? So a violin bow, when they do a down bow like this, is actually up on the piano. So I want you to pretend you're bowing it. So that this is nice and smooth. Move your hands as you need to, but we wouldn't go doink, 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 right? Okay, we'll try that. you know, we can't turn it into a violin. I had a chamber music coach once. He's a violist. He had played with the Budapest Quartet. He was really an old man when I had him. I loved him, and he was trying to get me to bow this variation in the Trout Quintet. He goes, "Child, you must bow it." I can't bow, I need the keys. You know, it was really, but I didn't understand what he meant. But that was it. Is you just, and he didn't play piano, so he didn't know how technically to tell me to do it, but that's it, is you just let your arm flow, and then your fingers do what they have to do. That was great. Let's do the first 4 measures now and see how that comes. So your introduction, she's coming off the boat and going, for the first time. Okay, here we go. Gentlemen, they have really good technique. It's really playing very, very well. Is that your arm is what is going to shape the phrase. Okay? If you try to shape it by manipulating the volume control, it'll get louder and softer, but you're not going to get that singer type of flow. I'm sure all of us have heard kids that play like a stick of wood. You know, I can guarantee you, if their arm is doing this, they're not going to sound like a stick of wood. It's impossible. You know, so the thing is that the more free you can make your arm and let your arm shape the phrase, like a singer, it's going to really, really make a big difference. It's sort of, what basically you're doing is you're just allowing your own musical expressive quality that lives in you, freedom to do that. Okay, 'cause I believe every kid is musical. It's just a matter of how tight is their arm, or can they free it up? You know, it doesn't matter how much water is in the cistern or whatever. If the faucet is turned off, it's not going to come on. So if you can free that arm up, all that musical energy is going to come out. Okay, good, good. So let's do the beginning once more, and then we'll go on a little bit. Okay. She sees something different, right? So you want to tell the story. Here we go. Good. Now, let's try that one for third line. All right? Can you play that melody all by itself? Yeah, it goes up to a higher note, doesn't it? Good. Now keep that idea of the violin bow or the singer with her breath, and let your arm trace it. Okay, just the melody again. Shape with your arm. That's it. Good. Now play it as written. Just those 2 measures with your arm flowing. That's what this needs, and it just, all of a sudden, the character really, really comes alive. So come up with whatever kind of narrative you want to with what this is about, okay? And let's go to Crystal Cage just a little bit now. So you were telling me that you were thinking about a bird cage, which is kind of what I think about too. Do you have any more details of what this histoire is about for yourself? Is there a bird in it?
I don't imagine the bird.
You don't imagine the bird in it. Okay. So where is the cage hanging?
I was thinking it was sitting on a desk.
Sitting on a desk. Okay. So if you think about crystal, right, you know, it's sparkly. You know, so you'd think, is it kind of in the dark and just has that kind of dark, you know, sort of shimmer that you would see in the dark, or is it in the sunlight? You know, is it doing it that way? This isn't right or wrong. This is your collaboration with Ibert. But I think if you can be a little more specific, it would help. So how do you see it?
I see it in the sun.
In sunlight. Okay, good. Let's try it at the beginning. Okay, great. Up to that point, I like it a lot. It has a lot of character. I love the dynamics. It's really good. When you get to the third line, I think it's the third line. Is that where we stopped? Okay. So when you get to there, what happens is that your arm tightens up just a little bit. It's not even, it becomes kind of rigid, and the sound changes. So up to that point, loud, soft, whatever, has a really nice kind of buoyant sound, and then when you get there, it gets a little hard. So see if you can make your arms feel like they're dancing a little on the third line. Okay, try that. Yeah, release your elbow. Okay. That's good. I have a young student. He's the youngest kid of a family of students that I teach. And so he's younger than you are, so his technique isn't as advanced, but he's sort of learning to kind of release his arms a little bit. I said, Julian, look at your elbow. He looks at his elbow. I said, tell it it's a cork. And he looks at it, he goes, you're a cork. And I said, okay. The idea is, I like to use the idea of a cork because if you're like on a stream or in water and you drop a cork in, it floats. It moves with the motion of the water. It doesn't fly up, it rides right on the water, but it's flexible, okay? So look at your elbow and tell it it's a cork, okay? All right. Try to make your hand dance a little bit. Remember what I was talking about with Lucy beforehand, is that forte doesn't mean heavy, okay? So see, and remember, this is a crystal cage. Crystal can weigh a lot, but it doesn't look heavy. You know, it's clear, it's bright, it's sparkly. So see if you can make your forte here not heavy, but bright, like fireworks. Let it sort of bounce up like diamonds or something. Okay, try that. Try it again. That's it. Now, just, hang on, I'm gonna look at the board. Right. Okay, you have a sforzando on the first note, and these notes have tenuto over them, so that she's doing this exactly right. They're longer notes. There's not an accent on each one, though. So we go triam, bum, bum, bum. See if you can make them do this rather than this. Okay? So you think of going yum, dum, 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 that you have horizontal direction to the chords. Does that make sense? That's it. Where's it going? Think where are you going? Ready, go. That's it. Keep going. There's where it goes, right? Okay, so play that whole phrase and really get a sense of where it's headed. Wrong key. It keeps going like from G major into E minor, and it's like, but you know, it's an interesting piece in that way. So that's sort of the thing I would think about with this. And same thing with your rubato, is to try to think again, where are you going? Where's the end of the phrase? How is that rubato affecting that? Is it helping you get to where you want to go? Do you want to back away and close something? Say goodnight? That kind of thing. Okay? Can you go on from where you stopped? I'll turn the page for you. But for me, I think of somebody who's looking at it and just saying, that's so beautiful, you know? So be sure when you get to the top of that melody that you don't let your elbow become fixed or rigid again, but keep it flowing, all right? Because the color of the sound that you get on the piano changes when your elbow fixes, okay? So remember, look at it and tell it it's a cork, okay? It doesn't have wings, it's not flying anywhere, it's just riding on the notes on the music, okay? Can you just try it there at the top, wherever's comfortable, honey. Did that feel any different? Do you notice it? Did it sound different? Yeah, it was you've got everything in place. It's just that your elbow sometimes tightens up, and what happens is then your arm is stiff and it doesn't breathe, okay? What the physics are of why the sound changes, I couldn't tell you. I don't have a degree in physics. All I know is that it does, okay? So if you think as a singer, these are your lungs, this is your mouth. And the piano is the resonance in your head. You know, just let the piano resonate, okay, with the flowing singing arm, okay? Beautiful job, thank you. Could you hear better that time? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, if you can't hear me,